No.
Did you tell her about how I tested the salt?
Oh yeah, because so the Pegasus had a bunch of salts there they were selling for $10, and I had ordered some, which I never got my order, which is weird. Whatever. Anyways, I'd ordered some online and I didn't get them. So then when we got there, I was like, oh, cool, they have some. I'll just buy some.
Oh
And
no.
I told Colton, I said, hey, will you activate these? Because a lot of salt you have to put in a cap full of water and shake it, whatever.
Yeah.
But when he opened it, it looked gooey on the inside. And I was like, is it already activated? And so Colton goes, and
Oh
he
my God, I got a small. I was like, you get kind of edge up to it, give it a little sniff.
he tried to edge himself and he edged too
you
hard.
stick a finger in it, and you smell it before you put your tongue on it. That type of thing. I was going for that
Yeah.
approach, and then I was like, oh yeah, that doesn't smell too bad. Then I was like, oh, it doesn't taste too good.
Yeah, but anyway, so he hit it too hard, and then he goes, yep, it's activated, all right, it's activated.
Well, welcome back to the podcast. Today I have, once again, the lovely Mrs. Jackie Rhodes. She is fresh off of the Olympic City Pro-Am, where she won her pro card. Well, before we get into it, I want to do a bit of some icebreakers just so that the audience can get to know you a bit. Obviously, if they haven't been following you or seen you on Instagram, they probably should. You're also on TikTok. First of all, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, a
Mhm.
superpower. Mm, I think I would like to do probably communicate with animals. That would be cool.
Okay, so this leads into the next question. If animals could talk, which one do you think would be the sassiest?
Ooh. Honestly, if I'm thinking just domesticated animals,
It could be
horses
anything.
are super sassy. Horses are so sassy.
They
Uh,
are.
and fun fact about me, I have 4 college credit hours in equine.
Wow,
So look at me.
that's
Uh,
amazing. So you can kind of talk to horses anyway.
yes, the university I
Perfect.
went to had an equine team, like Western
Cool.
Pleasure or English and writing and
Yeah.
stuff. And so they had horses that you could go and do if you were shy, 1 or 2 credit hours to meet your
Mm.
15 or 17 credit hour requirement.
Yeah.
And you could take those as an elective, and it was a lot of fun. It was nice to it was like an easy go out, relax, chill, learn how to take care of horses. It was fun. I bet I bet giraffes. I bet giraffes are I don't know. I bet they're crazy.
So I think they are a little crazy, and I think their tongue is their main personality. Because have you seen like a giraffe like be
Yeah,
weird with its tongue?
I live here in Oklahoma City, and fun fact about Oklahoma City, our zoo is one of the top zoos in the nation.
Cool.
And there is an opportunity to feed giraffes. You can go and pay, I think it's $5 or $10, and they give
Yeah.
you some lettuce, and the giraffes come up, and you go to give this huge lettuce leaf, and they have these little tongues that come out, and they're just like, bleh, and
They
they
are not little.
they're not. They're I think they're over a foot long. They have these
Yeah.
massive long tongues that just
Yeah.
come out, and they're able to grab things and pull it into their mouth. It's so weird, but it's cool. And I
I
think they're
think an
bluish.
orangutan is
They're
weird.
bluish purplish.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like bluish, purple, grayish. Yeah. I think orangutans would be the sassiest ones though.
Orangutans are. We have orangutans at the zoo here too, and they are wild. The whole chimpanzee gorilla exhibit, they're all crazy.
Yeah.
The
No, I
elephants are
agree.
pretty good too. We have a really good elephant exhibit, and they have a really
Mm.
good elephant breeding program. And so we'll get little baby elephants sometimes, and they're so
Mhm.
cute.
If you could swap lives with any professional strong person, who would it be?
Honestly, I would pick Brian Shaw, and this is why. Because him and Eddie Hall are really good friends, and Eddie Hall
Yeah.
is a menace, and I would love to just go and be a menace to other people, like playing pranks and like
Yeah.
oh, that's like my jam. I think it'd be
Why
so
wouldn't
fun
why wouldn't she want to just swap with Eddie and be
because I
the
want to do it
menace?
with Eddie. I don't want to. I don't.
Oh,
I want to go do the pranks with Eddie.
okay. That's fair. Did the whole entire podium get their pro card or just you?
Yeah, so the entire podium got a pro card. How it was sent out to us was first place also gets an automatic invite to America's Strongest Woman. So I'll be
Congratulations.
going to that. Thank you. I'll be
Ooh.
going to that in October. Um,
And last
I
time we
believe
talked, you were saying hopefully that was on the line for you, and now it is.
yes. Yeah, so I'm super
Nice.
excited about that. From what I've seen, I believe it's at the Olympia again this year, which is in Las Vegas in October. So we're going to Vegas.
Awesome. Ooh, we should do OSG in Vegas. I think that'd be fun.
That would be cool.
That'd be wild.
I think some
Anyway,
athletes may not make it to the competition if it's in Vegas. They might get distracted.
that's okay. We'll let Vegas take out my competition for me. And
That's
then
right.
you're also the new American women deadlift record
Yes.
holder. And the last person who got it was in 2020, I believe, by Victoria Long at 553 pounds. And you took it home with
584.
584, baby. And this is a Strongman Corp sanctioned. So, like, outside of this, it wouldn't be considered technically a record. So, and there's a lot of like sanctions and stuff that have different records, but
There
this
is,
is
yeah. And I
this is
think
on the
the other
books.
part of it is too is like, yes, it's a deadlift. It's the American deadlift record and with a like deadlift, Texas deadlift bar, and it's like just a standard deadlift. There's so many deadlift record variations, like,
Yeah,
whether it is like the mammoth bar or elevated with like the Hummer tires or whatever the case is, or an axle deadlift bar. But this is just
right.
standard normal deadlift weight you see a lot of times in powerlifting. Although we could use straps, no suits, no briefs. Raw,
Honestly, though,
baby. Raw is the law.
strong is strong, right? I mean, there's not
Right.
a lot of women in this world who can deadlift 600 pounds, and you're pretty much there. I'm sure by the end of this year, you'll for sure surpass 600 American deadlift
So
record.
yeah, before it was Victoria Long. She had it
Yep,
at 553.
yep,
And it's the American deadlift record and like what Strongman Corp has like
yes.
kept track of. So it has to be done through a Strongman Corp competition and sanctioned through that.
Mhm.
And so before it was her at 553 in 2020, and so now
Now it's you. It's you.
580.
That's awesome.
This show was 3 weeks after the Arnold, so I didn't really
Oh,
prep for it. I
no.
focused and put everything into the Arnold because of what was at stake with the Arnold.
Yeah.
And I hadn't pulled on a straight bar from the floor in I don't know how long because
Dude, they look smooth.
it was, I guess, like from the floor, I did axle, but it wasn't a
Yeah.
deadlift bar.
Yeah.
At the Shaw, it was a deadlift bar, but elevated.
Yeah.
And so I just hadn't trained on one in a while.
Yeah.
And so I feel like looking at how smooth it went, how like to me, there was still some in the tank. I think I had over 600. But
Mhm.
obviously there was also 3 events after that, the sandbag into wheelbarrow, the sandbag
Yep.
throw, the stones, which is all still lower body
Mm.
extension. Like
Man, I
I'll
wanted
save
to do
some of
that
it.
wheelbarrow so bad. And that stone run
It
with
would have
like the
been
pike
really good
peak.
because that's the other thing too. So here's what's crazy with that wheelbarrow that they had made. The handles were like so thick. They were like the like fence post, like chain link
Yeah.
fence. And
Nice.
so that was the hard part was so many women had problems gripping it because it was
Mm.
a thicker handle.
I got me some
Um,
big old meat hands.
I know. And so unfortunately I just ran out of time there at the end to kind of pick and
Yeah.
move it. But so that's the other problem that I think a lot of women got upset about. but it made sense because it was a pro-am. And
Yes.
Angelica and Inez had advised to increase the weight, so because
Yeah.
they had it the same as the lightweight women, and it was 150, 175, 220.
That's
Was
too light.
too light. So they moved it to 200, 220, 250, which
Perfect.
I think is appropriate. That's
So appropriate. Yep.
And similarly for the stones were let me think. I think it was 175, 200, 220, 250, 275.
Yeah.
Because so that's what it was, but then they shifted it and moved it to, and it was 200 was the first stone, 220, 250, 275, 300.
I think that's an appropriate pro-am.
I agree. I think the reason they had it lighter was because their stone platform is like the mountain. It's like a Pikes Peak, so it's
I know.
descends. So it was 250 to the top to 56 inches, which for me was fine, but for all of our other shorter athletes, I'm so sorry. It's open women. You're gonna need to get taller.
Yeah. Well, that's what it was at North Americans. It was 56-inch platform for the women, and it was just like a hoop. And you had to, if you missed it, you had to go and reload it. So at least you guys had a fucking platform. At North Americans, we just had like a 10-inch circumference hoop to put them in. So
yeah,
and we had all of them.
Stuff like that at like WSM too, where they have like those like kind of platforms, or they have a regular platform. So I mean, it's just
50 inches, 56 for women, high.
It is high. I liked it though. It was fun. It's I was like, this is prepping us for stone to shoulder. So I was gonna say my stone run, I feel like, in my opinion, was more impressive than the 584, because like everyone knows I'm a good deadlifter, but I haven't been a good stone runner. And I one motioned the stones. I don't know why I did it. I just did it. I think it's because,
I was feeling sparkly.
Well, I think it's because I saw the girls in front of me do it, and I was like, I'm ahead by 11 and a half points. If they can do it, I can do it.
You cocky ass bitch.
The Leo in me came out. I was like,
obviously.
I can do that. And so then I was like, well, I'll do it. And then I knew I couldn't one motion the 250 to 56 inches. So I was like, I'm going to have, because I have to set it up and like ramp it up. Yeah. And then I knew, like in my head, I was like, I had these thoughts of like, can I do the 300 stone? But I also was like, I just did almost a 375 keg. Yeah, I can do a 300 stone. And so it was like, it was perfect. 30. And like, that was the other thing too, not just completing it, but I did it in 34 seconds. And it was like a 5-day event show, like in one day. I haven't done one of those in a long time either, and it was fast because we did all 5 events in about 4 hours. So not Arnold unsafe fast, but
no, but that's a pro-am fast. Like most pro-ams in Canada are 3.5. They're faster.
Right. So it was,
which I like.
Show, and Colorado Springs is at 7,000 feet elevation, and Loveland's only about like 3,000 or 4,000. So this was even higher. Look at me. The cardio has been paying off.
Air jerk.
That's right.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's disgusting. I wouldn't want that. Well, but with enough oxygen, you can do anything.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really wasn't like, it wasn't until after we went and ate dinner and I was sitting in a booth for like 2 hours that I got up and I was just like, oh, the things are not good. This is not good. And then we drove home, which was about, and like with stops and eating, was about 10 hours of travel driving.
Who got you out of the vehicle when you got home?
Myself.
Oh, in 10
Colton
minutes?
did bring everything else in, so there's that. I was able to be a passenger princess. So that was the other thing too, was like, on the way there, I drove. And I was with my mom and my friend. And so I drove and I made sure to bring like protein snacks, protein stuff. So like I didn't get anything from the gas stations. And I was like, I'm so proud of myself. I'm on a road trip and I'm not buying this stuff. On the way back, I got me those honey barbecue Fritos. I was having candy. I was like, I earned this. I'm eating junk food on the way home. And so, but now I have to be back on my bullshit. So I pulled 600 at the Shaw with the Hummer tire deadlift, but that was a 13-inch deadlift. And I would say that's probably the hardest starting point because it's still right below my knees. And like in the past, when I've failed a deadlift, that's where I've failed, is like right below my knees. I usually am I'm pretty powerful and explosive off the floor. And so I've had to kind of learn and control that especially when you have like slack in the bar, which I think is another reason why I like axle deadlift, because you don't have to have slack. There's no slack in the axle bar.
No, it's stiff. I like a stiff bar.
That's right.
So what's been the heaviest axle that you've pulled?
That 560 we did at OSG. Okay. So at OSG I did 4 reps in a suit, but I did pull it raw once.
Right. That's right, in training.
And that was in training before. Yeah.
That's right. I remember that. That's exciting. So for the events for Olympic City, is you had to do 200-pound log for reps. Now you had PR'd the reps on that from previous, right?
So we did the 200-pound log for reps at the Shaw in August. That's right. And I did 5 reps there. And so my goal going into this show, because I did not train for reps for the Arnold, I trained max. And so obviously, like, if you're stronger overall, you should ideally be stronger for reps. Yeah. And so I hit 6 reps. And there was, I think where I shaved some time down and was able to get that 6th rep was I stayed connected to the log the whole time.
Yes, I noticed.
I did do one where I stopped and I was like, hey, what's my time? So I could game plan, what am I going to do? And so I was very pleased I hit the 6 reps. I also had signed up later than most of the girls. And so I didn't know what I needed to hit. Obviously, second place below me, there were 3 girls, I think, that tied for 2 reps. And so I just went in saying, I wanted to hit 6 and PR my previous.
And honestly, I think that's the best way to do it as an athlete. And I know this is something that Colton was talking about on his coaching platform, but honestly, the best athlete with the best attitude is the one who goes in and attacks their own goals rather than looking at the competition. Like, yes, it is a game that we have to play. It's a competition. And obviously, if you have the strength there, that's fantastic that you can play the game. But when you're going out here saying, like, I don't know what I got, so I'm just going to do me, honestly, that's the best way, because then you break your own records. Stay in a good mentality with the other girls. It becomes less competitive with them and more competitive with yourself. And then it's just a bigger celebration, because it's not that you beat everyone, it's that you beat yourself.
Right.
And I find that that's better.
And that was kind of one of the things that I was wanting to go into after, like, when we decided. So at the Arnold, I still was not decided if I was going to do the show or not. I had signed up for it, but we hadn't purchased like the Airbnb or the travel or anything, because I wanted to make sure, like, one, I didn't get injured at the Arnold, but then what was I going to do? And so once I had decided that that's what we were going to do, that we were going to move forward with it, I had told Colton, I said, I don't know a lot of the girls who are going to be there, which is fine, but I want to go in knowing, like, I'm going to give it my best and do what I need to do. And so the 2 big goals that I had was to, 1, hit 6 reps on the log, and 2, break the American Deadlift Record. And with the other events, I was like, I just want to kind of finish them and see, like, what I can do. I'd worked really hard on the sandbags, like, for the Arnold. And so I was like, since I didn't get to do them at the Arnold, like, I want to make sure and show, like, I can do this. Sandbag throws are sandbag throws. It was to 15 feet.
Okay.
It was to 15 feet. And so it was a 20, a 25, a 30, a 35, and a 40. And so I hit the 35, which I'm trying to think. I think I hit the 35 at OSG, but that's to 13 feet, and I didn't
That's right.
hit 40. And I feel like I got super close with the 40 to 15 feet. And so, you know,
It's there.
hopefully like it's there. Yeah. So there was that. And then, I'd never really I'd never finished a stone run before. When at OSG, I hit the 275 and ran out of time for the 300. At the Shaw last year, I missed the 275. And I think with the Shaw, Colton had bought different tacky. He had bought, I think it was the Elite tacky, and I never used it. And so I didn't know how it was gonna like work. At OSG, I did use spider tacky, and I used spider tacky at this one too. And I think I just like that consistency better with the spider tacky. I do understand, like, obviously different places, if it's super cold or super hot, like you're going to need to adjust, your level of tacky and temperature of tacky. But I was, pleased. I think that's the one I was pleased with was the stone run, not just finishing it, but finishing it.
Yeah. Well, and like historically, like stones weren't your jam. But here's the thing though, like you've been doing this for 4 years now?
I'm going into my 4th year, so 3.5.
Going. Okay. So when's your anniversary?
So January of 22 was when I said I'm going full strongman, because I did a powerlifting meet in December of 21.
Okay, gotcha. So from starting then till now, because when you come from strength and switch sports, and like you're top of your class in the other sport and you're really strong, I'm sure the mentality switching sports kind of changes, where it's just like, oh yeah, I got this, I can be this, I can do this, I'm strong. But then you start competing with women who have been doing it for years, who are well seasoned, and it's like you get a little bit humbled. So when you came into this competition, what was your attitude towards it? I know that you said that you wanted um to beat your old self, but now that you're a pro, how are you starting to think about shows now?
I would say so when I first started, like, I knew coming into it that I was strong. I had finished at my last powerlifting competition. I totaled 1377. I had a 550 squat, a 550 deadlift, and a 275 bench. And I knew, again, like, I knew that I was one of the strongest, just based off of, like, because that's the other thing too. In powerlifting, there's open powerlifting, and you can look up every powerlifting meet, whether it's been sanctioned or not, or sanctioned with, whatever federation, and you can compare numbers to numbers. And that was something I always enjoyed about powerlifting, was because, like, either you can squat more than me or you can't, or, like, numbers aren't going to lie. And so, it's taken me a while to realize that, like, it's not that I'm just strong, but I have to get back into that athletic mindset that I used to have when I did high school and college athletics, and just kind of get that movement and mobility back. And it wasn't until probably the Shaw this past year where I've had to not just adjust my mindset of, like, I need to get better, but, like, I need to do things better for me. And it's not just about static strength. I want to say, like, I've never been the kind of person, in whether it was softball or track or powerlifting, to be like, I'm out here to do the bare minimum to beat somebody. It's always been, yes, I want to win, but I want to win doing my best and like I want the people I'm competing against to have to like also perform, because I don't want it to be, oh well, she beat me because I got hurt, or she beat me because they gave me red lights, or she beat me because I tripped and fell. I want it to be, I beat you because I'm better,
Yeah.
and I out like worked my butt off and I performed that way.
Yeah.
But I kind of take that mentality the other way around too, is if I perform my best and I PR'd things and it wasn't good enough for first, then I still have work to do. That doesn't mean that like the people ahead of me are like better people, but
Mhm.
they're better performers that day.
Yeah,
Those events were better for
absolutely.
them, and so um, there's never
That's a good
any,
point.
there's never
I was just,
any like slightness. Like I
yeah,
don't ever feel slighted when people do better than me.
yeah.
I always internalize it and look at like, what can I do to improve?
Yeah. And honestly, I think that's a really good point that you kind of mentioned is every show is different. And it's not that you underperform, it's just certain people are better at certain things. And I think a lot of athletes can get lost in that. And I think at the end of the day, if you give your effort and you give all of it, then you're still going to perform your best despite the factors that aren't stacked in your favor.
I think that's one of the reasons why like people will see in the future our like there's a good group of open women right now
Mhm.
that are so supportive and um,
Yeah.
want to see everyone succeed. My success is not like outshining your success, and it's not outshining
Yeah.
anyone else's success. And just like your success isn't outshining my success. And
No.
so I think once more people kind of see that,
Yeah.
it's just going to continue to blossom and flourish. And that was something like I had a conversation with another strong woman who also came from powerlifting, and powerlifting just does not have the same attitude that strongman does.
No, I'd
Powerlifting is
agree.
it's very cutthroat, and it's you don't see people going out and supporting other lifters like you do in strongman, where you see us like as soon as we're done, we're watching the people behind us before we're watching the people in front of us.
Mhm.
Um, and it's more of like I would say it's more of a community
Yeah.
instead of you versus. One of the things that I think is important for people to realize is, while in many places there is there is a strongman community, like there's a strongman community here in Oklahoma City.
Mhm.
However, it's predominantly men. There are three other women who are like here in Oklahoma. One is Hannah Cold Iron, who lives like 90 minutes away from me, but she's a
Yeah.
U64, I guess now a U73 athlete.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple who are at the gym that I train at. Again, they're lighter weight classes, and they're not quite to the same level that I'm at yet, which is fine.
Yeah.
But for us open women, but again, for the men, there's, I have a 105 and two or three open men that are all around the same,
Yeah.
weights. They're doing the same shows. So they have a group of people that they're lifting with consistently. And
Yeah.
for us women, there's not that. We don't like,
No.
there's not another open woman in my area that is like at the same level.
Yeah. Same.
And
Same in my
so,
area.
right. And so it's hard to like, how do you find that like community when
Yeah.
it's just you? And so
Yeah.
we've had to kind of develop that community online, and
Yeah.
which has been really nice to have that community
It
online,
has.
to have, other women like you, Jen, Monica, Rebecca, Victoria message me about last weekend and tell me, oh my gosh, you broke that record. That was awesome. You did so good. You put on a clinic.
Yeah.
Kind of having that support of like, yes, you're gonna make it, you're pushing forward.
Yeah.
And not, and it's not like oh wow, you're getting too good. I'm gonna like,
Yeah.
there's not that like animosity or that
Yeah.
like weird negative energy. Like everyone wants everyone else to do better.
Yeah. I was jealous, but I was jealous because it was like you got to like go out there and lift heavy stuff, and I want to do that too. Like,
It's
how
not
dare
jealous,
you
it's
do it without
FOMO. You
me?
you had FOMO.
Ugh, so
You were
bad.
missing out, and it's not jealousy of like, oh, she did good and I wish I could do better. It
Oh,
was I'm
I was
missing out
lit.
being out there with my
Yeah.
friends, and like
Yeah.
that's one of the things like I tell everyone too when I come back from work, like when I go back to work and like the competition's done and they're like, oh, how was it? And I was like, oh, I missed all my friends.
Yeah.
Like, I was telling Colton like it was weird competing and not having you and Aaron there or Josh and
I
Kaya there.
know.
Where were my friends that I'm used to competing with? Which
I
was fine.
know.
It was a different crowd and it
Yeah.
was fun. Everyone was super cool and super nice and I enjoyed
Yeah.
it. But it's hard when like you're used to your group of friends
Yeah.
and they're not there.
I know. Well, and it was like it was amazing watching you succeed because I knew that was a goal of yours. Like we had talked about it so many times before where you were like, I want to break that. And like you were talking about, I think I got six in me. And I was like, if she can crack six, like
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
I think if I had a normal 6 to
Yeah,
8 10 week
I
prep,
agree.
mid sixes for sure.
Absolutely. Like 625 for sure. If you had a 6 week block, yes.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is like when you figure out and when you become confident in who you are as an athlete and when that motivation is when that discipline is already ingrained in you, then
Mhm.
things like community becomes the motivator, which is awesome. And like that's how it should be because really we do this alone, like you said, and it's at my gym, it's very bodybuilder forward. I am the strongest woman there. I am the muscle mother of that gym and I can say that confidently. But I still have women in that gym surrounding me, supporting me. I still have the men in that gym surrounding and
Yeah.
supporting. So the support is still there, but it just hits different when your girlfriends who know the struggle. Yes, you're not here with me, but like my phone is pretty much in my hand all day. So you could be with me all day if you wanted to,
Right.
which would be awkward, but I'm not opposed.
I agree. Because like that's the thing. Like there are other women at my gym who power lift. There are, like I said, there are some women there who do strongman, and it's nice to kind of talk with them.
Yeah.
And I think the other part, like not just in my opinion, and I think this is where it's the hardest for me. It's not the discipline to go to the gym that's the hard
No,
part. It was
no.
learning the necessity and the discipline for nutrition. That's been the
Yeah.
hard part for me. And
So
that's something that I'm still super new to in these last like 6 months. And because I've always just had like my whole life, I've had a bad relationship with food. I've always
mhm,
been one of the bigger girls. I've never like, I was over 200 pounds in like ninth or 10th grade. Like I've just always been on the bigger side. And like, it's never been like, I've like, that's just my frame. That's the frame that I have. And
yep,
so, um, I've always been in a position where I didn't have to worry about what I was eating. I just
yeah,
eat it. I just ate to fuel what I was doing. So whether that was pizza, nachos, hot dogs, burgers, whatever, um, even into my adult life where I was like doing powerlifting and strongman, I've always been an open class athlete.
yep,
Because not until I got out of powerlifting when I was still in powerlifting, the next weight class was 90 kilos.
yeah.
Um,
It's
and so
a
it's like,
big weight class.
right. And so since
Yeah.
then, they've added a 220 and a 242 women's weight class.
Okay.
Uh, but even in strongman, like it's open or 82 kilos.
Yep.
I'm
That's a
not cutting
big jump.
weights. And
No.
so I think that's the other thing too, is like learning how to fuel properly, making sure like I'm hitting enough protein, I'm hitting enough or like carbs, I'm staying lower on my fats, so I'm not as bloated.
Yeah.
Um,
That makes a
and
huge difference
it
in
does
performance.
absolutely. And so that's one of the things like I was telling my nutritionist, like This is the second comp I've done with her. I started working with her right after OSG. Between Shaw and OSG, I was kind of doing my own thing. And I got to the point where I said, you know what? I need someone who's going to hold me accountable, who is going to check in and check out. And it can't be Colton. He does my strongman programming, but it's also something different when it's like your significant other that's like, should you be eating that? And I'm like, how about you mind your business? Where
yeah.
like, now I have someone who's completely neutral, who is and she's, you know, also a woman who is like, hey, these things really are going to bloat you. Like she, you know, it's the delivery, right? And so it's
harder hearing that from your spouse though, where it's like, should you really be having another bag of chips? It's like, how about you take a hike?
That's right.
For lack of better words.
That's right. How about you kick rocks?
Yeah. Lick them too.
That's right. And so that's
rock liquor.
Like, that's been an adjustment. But in a really good way too, because when I started, that first week, I remember the first couple weeks when she was like, hey, you're going to be eating about 2,500 calories. The first thing in my head was, is that enough? I don't think that's enough. Yeah. But then I realized that's a shit ton of food. Like 8 ounces of meat, 8 ounces of carbs, 4 ounces of veggies, 2 or 3 protein snacks a day, like whether that's protein shakes or whatever. I'm like, the first few weeks, I was barely finishing half of my meals because I'm like, this volume is a lot. But now, like, so now I'm to the point where I'm kind of like, I'm still pretty hungry. And so we've added in another protein like shake, like later in the day. And so I'm excited to continue working and to continue moving in that direction. I'm down 55 pounds total since the Shaw.
Yes, you are.
So I'm hopeful. I'm hoping by that June Tim's show or the Shaw that I've got another 20, 15 to 30 pounds, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
That's exciting. Well, and honestly, it's just little things that need tightening up that just elevate you to the next level. Yeah. Like right now, my coach is blasting my legs. And honestly, if I can put some size on my legs, everything is going to increase. And I honestly think that's the missing picture because last year I put a shit ton of size on my upper body. And now it's just a balancing act. And for you, it's just a matter of cleaning up your nutrition because when you drop that weight, you're going to get faster. You're going to get more efficient. And like when I put size on my legs, I'll be able to lift heavy. I'm already fast and efficient. So it's like the head-to-head Jackie ratio is going to be wild
it's just
this
kind
year.
Of like it's filling in the gaps and where we are like, I don't want to say weak, but just what we've been missing.
Yes.
So
our
checking off more boxes. So.
And that's what's going to propel to the next level and it takes time. And that's something that new people to the sport don't understand, or they're learning slowly, which is fine because I'm a slow learner too. It's fine. We all like rock, so we're all slow learners.
I mean, but you're not wrong. And I think that's what makes the elite athletes, elite is being able to take a step back and objectively look at what's going on and addressing where we have room for improvement. And no one is saying, because like, I mean, it's hard for anyone, especially a woman, especially an open class woman, to look at themselves and say, you know what? I do need to lose weight. I need to clean up my nutrition. I need to fuel myself better. And like, that's a hard pill to swallow. But it wasn't going to happen until I was able to take a step back and say, you know what, I do need to do this. Similarly, I'm sure for you, like, it's hard to look and say, should I put on size? Should I, like, how do I get stronger? Like, it's hard to take a step back and objectively look at yourself because there is so many emotions that go into it.
And when you're an individual in an individual sport, it's all on you. You don't have the team to lean on. Like, yes, we have teammates, like our sponsors, our spouses, like we have teammates. However, it's just you. You are the decision maker. It's you that makes or breaks it. So like for me, I put on 5 pounds of muscle in 6-7 months between strongest woman in Canada and the Arnold. And like I keep stepping on the scale because just to see, like for me, I've been using the scale as just an objective measurement just to know where I'm
Right.
at. And I'm sitting 5 or 6 pounds heavier than I was last year. And it's been consistent. Like every day it's the same. And so it's like, huh. And so, but for women, sometimes that can be a bit of a mind fuck when you see the scale go up and not down, especially when you're, reducing your calories because you're not expending as much as you used to. So you don't need to intake as much energy anymore. And
Absolutely.
that's the one thing when I talk to my clients is you have to think about it like energy in, energy out. If you really want to be an athlete, you have to think like that. You are consuming energy to give energy, and it's not it has to be completely objective. The scale is just a unit of measurement, and the scale in the kitchen is a unit of measurement to get you to your goals. So
And
if
that's
if
the
you can pull
same thing
yourself
too.
out,
Like,
you'll win.
do you do photos and stuff too?
When I remember to, yes.
There was, I don't know if I showed it to you or not. I can't remember. Anyways, there was a piece where it was the week before the Arnold, and then 2 weeks, like it was like the week before I went to this show where the scale was the same. But then
Mhm.
when I looked at my photos, there was in 3 weeks like just a crazy amount of recomp that I was like, wow, that is wild to
Yeah.
see that like the scale didn't move, but you can see there's less bloat or less something in my midsection. You can see that my shoulders are looking tighter, my
Yeah.
arms look smaller, my face looks smaller. So like that's something again like I have to remind myself, and then I try to also remind other women who are on a weight loss journey or a strength journey that weight loss isn't linear, just like strength isn't linear. Nothing is ever going to be linear, and you have to remember sometimes you do dip, but then that next climb is going to be up,
Yeah.
or vice versa. If you're that you may have trended up a little bit, but it might drop back down like weight
Yeah.
wise. And continuing to like, that's one of my favorite parts, which I'm also someone who was very hesitant about not wanting to do photos for progress, but was like, okay, I know that at some point I'm going to wish I did. And that's the thing. Like I started doing progress photos with my nutritionist in December, and now I see where I'm at, and I'm like, dang, I wish I had progress photos from August when I actually started, because I
Yeah.
didn't want to do photos then. And
Yeah.
so,
It's just
like,
embarrassing. I
it
think
is.
that's what keeps us. Because I remember my very first check-in photo, I was embarrassed because I couldn't believe I let myself get to that point. And
Absolutely.
that's where the shame was coming from. But honestly, when you decide like I am going to invest in myself, you're not hiring someone, you're investing in yourself. And when you
Absolutely.
decide to take that step, it would be doing yourself a disservice to not take that photo because
Absolutely.
you have already made up your mind that you are going to commit. So, what are you going to look like in a year? Forget the scale. The scale just measures everything, and weight and like muscle is heavier. So,
Right.
if I can 5 pounds of fat versus 5 pounds of muscle, difference in volume, like great
Absolutely.
difference.
Muscle is so much more dense. And that was,
Yes.
something that like I had to also continue to remember, like, um, I had to take my belt in, and I'm getting close to where I'm going to have to take it in again. Or
Same.
I know.
Weight
Yeah.
loss sucks.
And then like my leggings aren't skin tight leggings anymore. They're kind of
I
like
know.
weird. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to get rid of these. But then that's the other part that's hard too, is like, okay, do I get rid of it, or do I put it in the back closet in case
Yep.
I get fat again? I don't know. Like, it's so hard. It's so hard. And I think that's the other problem is
Yes. Oh, being big and trying
I'm
to fit things.
right, especially workout clothes and cute workout clothes. Like, I'm
Don't
not trying
exist.
to wear like baggy 90s style NBA clothes. Like, I don't want to wear that. I want to also wear cute, like short, like spandex. Like, I want to look cute. Why can't I look cute?
But I mean that comes with weight loss, and that's the biggest
Yeah.
thing that I'll tell people is Like you'll be happy and excited for the results, but then when it comes down to it, you're gonna have to be buying more clothes
Right.
because you're just gonna be losing weight and stuff.
That's
Which
true.
isn't a bad thing, but like that's an expense I don't think people think about.
No, I agree. I think that's the other thing too is like there it's not just losing weight. It's not
Mhm.
just like because it's yes, it's losing weight, your body's recomping and like things fit differently.
Yeah.
I don't want to go and buy a bunch of new work pants, so I'm probably just going to buy a belt.
Yep.
And
Oh,
so like
same. Girl, same.
or the other thing that's crazy is so it just started getting warmer here in Oklahoma. So I went to put on some sandals and I like they're like kind of like they're like knockoff Birkenstocks. I had to
Mhm.
tighten them because my feet are small, like not as wide. And so I was like, this is weird. So like that's the other like there's this other things like that too that like
Yep.
people
You don't think
think
about.
no. That would I would say that's one of the wildest ones is I was like, I have to tighten my sandals. This is weird. But
I'm really excited to see how you perform this season as you keep going because if 20 more pounds is the goal, like you're going to be das Machine.
yes.
And I'm excited to watch that.
So I'm excited. I'm excited too, and well, I just want to continue to push myself and to be a better athlete. And
Hmm.
uh, I there was a statement said at Olympic City to Colton that I just look like a totally different athlete now, and that it looks. I think the quote was, "It looks like she's actually trying now," and I'm like. I am because I'm actually checking all the boxes. Like I'm trying
Yeah.
to be a better athlete. I'm like not that I didn't try physically, but like okay, now I'm like I'm locked in, as the kids
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. But it's also fun when like the girls around you lock in too, though, right? Because then it's
Yes.
like, hell yeah, let's go, brother. Because then it's like that fun, healthy competition is right there, and it makes you have to be your best in order to be at
It
that level.
I think it keeps everyone from being complacent because
Yes.
there have been a lot of times, not just in strongman, but in any sport where the people at the top get complacent and then
Yes.
that's when it becomes not fun to watch. And so
Yes.
I think when you have so many people pushing each other, you have all this up and coming talent, you have people that are continuing to grow and to get
Yep.
better, you can't you can't be complacent because if you be
No.
complacent, you're gonna let's see, someone else is gonna come up and get you.
Well, Jackie, first of all, congratulations on being the latest pro. That's so exciting. I'm so proud of you, girl. Like watching you that day, I think I cried, but I don't think I let Aaron see. So there's no proof, but like, TV. So I'm really proud of you.
Thank
So
you.
congratulations.
Thank you.
So what's coming up next for you?
So for the year, so this is tentative for the year. My next show
Mhm.
is Strongest on the Coast in
That's
North
right.
Carolina. Our,
You and I will be there together, so no
yes,
FOMO.
we'll be there. Jen's gonna be there. So it's another all women's pro am. It's gonna be super cool. Tim
Hmm.
Buck is hosting it, and so that was something I did. So that was another piece, kind of going into like the women's thing. Like I reached out to Tim after he, invited me, and I said, I'm just super appreciative. It's nice to
Yes.
see up and coming open men realize the potential that
Yes.
there is in
100%.
the women's sport and giving women that opportunity.
Shout out Tim.
As we know the men have so many opportunities with the different Giants live show, the Rogues show, and but like for the top women right now, it's just the Invitational and the Pro Arnold Rogue.
Yes.
There and then it wasn't until like this last year that more pro-ams were kind of starting coming up and open. Before that, there really wasn't any pro-ams to even earn a pro
No.
card. And so now that that's kind of turning the corner and we are seeing more pro-ams, we're seeing more opportunity, more competitions for like a cash prize to kind of
Yeah.
give back and more recognition, and not just saying it's a pro-am, but it's a honest pro-am in
Yeah.
these are what the weights are. It's not, we're not just calling it a pro-am and it's a snooze fest of like events. Like we're all gonna have to like work super hard and bust our
Yeah.
butts to complete this 5 or 6 event
Six.
show in
Six.
one day.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited about that. So that's the next thing. The signups and events for the Shaw Classic come out next week. So I'm super excited about that because
Me too.
I know Carrie and Brian have been keeping the events tight. Excited to see what the events are. And so that's in August. America's Strongest is in October, OSG in November. So that's kind of the lineup I have right now. That's obviously tentative. If I get invites to other things, then I'll have to reevaluate that. But so that's where I'm at.
Well, that's super exciting. And you guys can go and follow her at the Trunchbull on Instagram. Is that correct?
The _Trunchbull, yes.
The _Trunchbull. Well, Jackie, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me about the Olympic City Pro-Am and for everything else. I think this was a really good chat and a really good reminder for ourselves of why we do what we do. It's expensive, but at the same time, like it's good community, it's good competition, and you can't take that fire out of the athlete ever. Well, you have yourself a great rest of the week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Follow Jackie on Instagram, follow her on TikTok, and make sure you follow the Strongwoman Chronicles on YouTube and Instagram, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Adios.